When I was young, my best friend told everyone in our town a lie about me. She said I loved her soon-to-be husband. People turned against me because of it. But later, I found out the truth, and everything changed. My mind feels all mixed up right now. Let me try to sort through everything. When I was 5 years old, my family moved to a new place. Our neighbors had a girl my age named Bella. We became best friends right away and grew up together. Our families were also really close. When I went to college, Bella stayed home. But she visited me often, and we always had a blast together. In college, I met a guy named Barrett in one of my economics classes. We had lots of mutual friends. He was smart and good-looking, so we ended up hooking up a few times after studying together. It was fun, but we both knew it wasn't meant to be serious. We never even talked about dating. After that, we weren't super close, but we'd still see each other at parties and in group chats. I introduced Bella to Barrett at a party during our last year of college, and they hit it off right away. Bella seemed really into him, so I told her about our past together. She was a bit upset at first, but I assured her that there were no romantic feelings between us anymore and encouraged her to go for it. They started dating a few months later, and Bella was ecstatic. I was happy for her. After I graduated, I moved away for work, and Bella and Barrett moved in together back in our hometown. At first, I visited them often, but life got busy, and we ended up only seeing each other once a year at holiday gatherings. Last Christmas, our families had a big party and Barrett proposed to Bella. It was so sweet, and everyone was thrilled for them. Bella was overjoyed and couldn't stop talking about wedding plans. We had a blast brainstorming ideas together. Everything seemed perfect. In the following months, I expected Bella to formally ask me to be her maid of honor, as she had mentioned during the holidays, but she never did. She started avoiding my calls, and I began to feel confused. Eventually, I received a save the date for her wedding, but still no word about my role in it, so I called her and asked directly. To my surprise, Bella said she had thought about it and decided not to include me in the wedding party because I lived too far away. She was worried it would be hard to plan events with me being so distant. Instead, she chose her cousin, whom she didn't even get along with, as her maid of honor. I felt really hurt by her decision. After all, I was her oldest and closest friend. I had introduced her to her fiancé and was friends with him too. I offered to take time off work, buy plane tickets, and do whatever it took to participate, but she didn't seem to care. Instead, she changed the subject to whether I was bringing a date to the wedding. I felt a bit puzzled by Bella's question because she knew I had recently gone through a tough breakup. I explained that since I wasn't dating anyone at the moment, I'd likely be going to the wedding alone. She said she'd keep the option open for me to bring someone, hoping I wouldn't feel lonely. It was a thoughtful gesture, but I assured her I'd be okay with my family and many friends around. The next few months went by quietly. I didn't hear much from Bella. Maybe I could have reached out more, but I was still hurt about not being asked to be in her wedding party. I also noticed on social media that she had an engagement party I didn't know about or get invited to. It stung, but I didn't bring it up. I figured maybe we were just drifting apart, as sometimes happens. 6 weeks before the wedding, Bella called me with surprising news. One of her bridesmaids had dropped out, and she asked if I could step in. I wouldn't be able to attend the pre-wedding events, but I'd be part of the bridal party. I was overjoyed and agreed right away. Bella explained that she was going for a unique theme where all the bridesmaids and groomsmen would wear white, while she and the groom would wear black. It sounded like Bella. She always liked to be different. She apologized for the short notice and asked if I could find a white dress in time. Luckily, I had a white slit dress that would do, so I sent her a picture during our call. She gave it the thumbs up, confirming it was fine. This detail will be important later on. The wedding was scheduled for noon, so we were set to meet at the venue at 8:00 a.m. for hair and makeup. I left my parents' house early, wearing comfy clothes and carrying my dress in a bag. When I arrived, I joined Bella and the other girls. We had a great time sipping champagne and getting ready. About 2 hours before the ceremony, Bella said it was time to put on our dresses for some photos. I grabbed my bag and went to change and touch up my makeup in the bathroom. When I came back into the room, all the other bridesmaids were wearing blue dresses. I froze. I was the only one in white. My heart sank, and my mind raced. I remembered my conversation with Bella clearly. She had specifically said we were all wearing white. I hadn't misheard. I even double-checked online. This wasn't a mistake. It felt like a deliberate setup. Bella stood in the center of the room, wearing a bathrobe, looking defeated. She muttered to her cousin, "I knew she'd pull something like this." Her cousin marched over to me, demanding to know why I was wearing white. I mumbled that Bella had instructed me to wear white. Bella didn't flinch. She scoffed, implying that I was trying to steal the spotlight. Then her cousin started yelling at me, accusing me of being jealous and having feelings for Barrett. I was so shocked by how quickly things had turned sour that I couldn't even speak up for myself. Eventually, I managed to stutter out that I had another dress at my parents' house and could go change. Bella snapped back, saying our friendship was over and that she had given me too many chances. She told me to leave. I burst into tears. I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew it was really bad. Eventually, I managed to move, and I ran out of there. I left all my stuff behind and just drove home, crying the whole way in my white dress. About 30 minutes later, my phone blew up with texts from almost everyone I knew. They'd all said I was bitter, needed to grow up, and get over my jealousy. They asked how I could do this to Bella. Even my mom texted me, saying how disappointed she was and that we'd talk when they got home. In that moment, I did what anyone would do. I turned to my parents' liquor cabinet and started drinking. When my parents came home, the conversation was a mess. My dad wouldn't even look at me, and my mom and I couldn't understand each other. She refused to believe that Bella had told me to wear white, and I couldn't figure out why. Finally, she mentioned something about everything else that happened, and I was confused. I asked what she meant. Then she dropped a bombshell. She told me that Bella had been spreading lies about me for months, saying I was mentally unstable and obsessed with Barrett. Bella had fabricated wild stories and turned my family and friends against me. My boyfriend apparently broke up with me because Bella lied and said I had feelings for Barrett. Untrue, he cheated, and I ended it. Bella claimed I gave her an ultimatum to choose between me and Barrett. Never happened. She also said I refused to be in her wedding because I couldn't support her marrying Barrett, whom she claimed I believed was meant for me. Another lie. Bella even said I had a big meltdown before the engagement party, which is why I wasn't there. It was lie after lie. In all these stories, Bella painted herself as the understanding friend dealing with my supposed feelings for Barrett. She acted like she sympathized with my unreciprocated love and tried hard to keep our friendship alive despite the situation. The lie went on so long that even my mom didn't believe me. Finally, I handed my phone to my mom and asked her to check my messages with Bella. I wanted her to find any proof of the accusations Bella made against me. As she scrolled through our texts, she came across the picture of the white dress I had sent Bella, with her thumbs up. I had totally forgotten about it. Seeing no evidence of ultimatums or Barrett drama in our texts and finding the picture of the approved dress, my mom's opinion shifted. She finally believed me and was horrified that she had bought into Bella's false story. She called my dad into the room and explained everything. My dad was furious. We had to work hard to calm him down so he wouldn't do something drastic. My mom still thinks I messed up by assuming I could wear white to Bella's wedding without checking with the other bridesmaids first. She says it was my responsibility as a member of the bridal party. I admit that, but it doesn't change the fact that Bella set me up for this huge fall over the past few months. The next day, feeling both physically and emotionally hungover, I sent screenshots of my call history with Bella and the photo of the approved dress text to several people. Unfortunately, being a graphic designer worked against me in this situation. People thought I could have easily faked the image, but trust me, if I was going to fake proof, it would have been a lot more convincing than just someone liking a picture. So almost nobody believed me except my parents, and one of the other bridesmaids who witnessed the dress incident. She reached out to me on social media and said she could tell from the shocked look on my face that I was telling the truth. She shared that Bella had a rough case of COVID earlier in the year, and since then she had become a different person, cruel and self-absorbed. She described the wedding events as terrible and Bella as a monster. She planned to cut off contact with Bella now that the wedding was over. So out of hundreds of people, only a few believed me. Everyone else still thought I was in the wrong. My life feels ruined, and I'm not sure if I'm to blame, so I turned to Reddit for opinions. Relevant comment. Someone asks, "Did Barrett ever hint that he had feelings for you that you didn't feel back?" I reply, "It's possible, but I don't know of any times. I think maybe Bella's cousin said bad things about me rather than Barrett actually having feelings for me, but I'm not sure. It's just a feeling, really." Where was Barrett in all of this? You mentioned he was your friend, so it's strange he'd let his fancy try to ruin your life. I saw Barrett for the first time after last Christmas at the rehearsal the night before the wedding. I greeted him warmly, congratulated him, and we chatted about trivial things like my drive up and canceled flights for some mutual friends. It was all friendly. Bella was busy with someone else at the time. I didn't see Barrett on the wedding day because I left before that. I have no clue what he thinks about everything, but I worry he's been fed the same lies about me. I haven't reached out to him because I'm afraid it might make things worse and add to Bella's story. If your parents were at the engagement party, why didn't you tell them you weren't invited? My parents didn't attend the engagement party. I thought it was more for friends than family, but they did know about it and probably expected me to be there. There was some misunderstanding between my mom and me. My parents aren't great with emotions and drama, so they didn't ask too many questions. Sometimes my mom would mention Bella and ask if I was okay, but I thought she meant my ex-boyfriend, so I'd reply that I was struggling but managing. We talked past each other like that. Looking back, there were things my mom said that confused me, but I didn't ask for clarification at the time. In response to some more questions on that thread. So if they expected you to come home for it, why did they never ask you about your plans to attend and when you would be home? I honestly can't answer that question because I don't know the timeline from my perspective. I'm not sure what my parents knew or when they knew it, like when the party invitations were sent out or when Bella told them I couldn't handle going. I was kept in the dark about all of this, so I just don't have the information. It's been tough for me to accept that my parents thought all this stuff was going on with me but didn't talk to me about it properly. Also, how come you didn't see her wedding dress or discuss the color scheme until it was time for the bridesmaids to get ready? I wasn't included in most of the wedding events except for the short rehearsal. I wasn't part of the group texts about the wedding, probably because I joined the bridal party last minute. Dresses were kept in garment bags on a rack, and at one point, Bella's wedding dress was taken out of the room to be steamed. I don't think it was back yet when all this happened, which is why she was still in a robe. My understanding was that she wanted photos of us helping her get dressed, so we were getting ready first. Looking back, I realized this timing might have been intentional. I was the only one who thought there was a flipped color palette, so it never came up in conversation. We talked about a lot of things, but wedding colors weren't one of them. It seems like both you and your parents struggle with communication, and Bella took advantage of your lack of reaching out to her or anyone else for wedding details. Yeah, my relationship with my parents is, well, it's complicated. I'd probably need another post to explain it fully. Update post, January 16, 2024. It's been almost 2 months and I've been debating whether to update my post. Hopefully, this update will clarify things. For safety reasons, this will likely be my only update. For those complaining about the length, I've included a TLDR at the end. Before I start, I want to address a common question about my parents. Many asked why my mom didn't check in on me or confront me about Bella's accusations. It's because I'm an apostate. Last year, I left the religion my parents raised me in, and Bella is still involved, so she has more credibility in their eyes. My political views also differ from my parents, which adds to the strain. To them, I'm seen as a sinner for rejecting biblical principles. I assume the broader religious community in our town sees me the same way. Despite this, I try to maintain a relationship with my parents since they're my only family, but there's been tension and distance between us. For instance, I didn't share much about my breakup because it would reinforce some of their negative beliefs about me. That's also why I haven't visited home in the past year. It's likely one of the reasons things were tense between Bella and me too. I didn't mention it in my post because it was already long enough, and this update will be too. Sorry. I thought the wedding events would strain my relationship with my parents even more, but unexpectedly, it's brought us closer. I think many of my parents' strong opinions about me leaving the church were more about how they thought it would reflect on them in the community. But now that the community has turned against me, they've come to my defense. They've taken a stand for me in their church. In the past few months, it's become clear that my parents actually care about me despite our differences. So, in a strange way, this terrible event has brought us closer. The tension between us from the past year has faded, and it feels like they've chosen my side. We had a great holiday together, so in that sense, I'm grateful this happened. Now, on to the update. Right after the wedding, I followed people's advice and sent out a screen recording of my text messages with Bella, dating back months, to counter her narrative that I was unstable and explain my side of the story. This led to 3 distinct reactions. First were my high school friends. Most of them are religious and were influenced by Bella's narrative. None of them took my side except for the one bridesmaid who had reached out to me. Next were my college friends who were closer to me. None of them had heard about Bella's campaign and accepted the evidence right away. Some even mentioned that they never really liked Bella and had heard her talking behind my back. This was surprising but also reassuring because these are the friendships I value the most, and it seems like they're not going anywhere. The college friends who were closer to Barrett didn't seem to care much. Many of them are drama-averse and didn't want to get involved in the evidence. While they weren't hostile towards me anymore, they also didn't offer much support. I'm okay with that. Bella's extended family was a lost cause for me. When I visited for Christmas, I tried to talk to Bella's parents, who were like second parents to me, but they refused to even open the door. I left a letter in their mailbox, but they never acknowledged it. Things settled into a new routine, and I focused on my life and work, trying to move forward. I spent the holidays with my parents, and life was okay. Then, on January 1st, I logged into an old email account to reset a password. While going through old messages to clean up the account, I came across an email from my ex with the subject line, "I win." I can't even describe the sinking feeling I had when I saw that email. It still affects me just thinking about it. My ex, let's call him Matthew, seemed like the perfect boyfriend at first, but things took a dark turn. After our first year of dating, he became extremely controlling. He wanted to dictate what I wore, what I ate, who I talked to, and even what I posted on social media. He was sneaky about it, slowly breaking me down over time. But then I found out he was cheating, and I knew I had to get out. Breaking up was a nightmare. He wouldn't accept it, and since we lived together, I couldn't escape. He put tracking software on my phone and bugged my car. He even had people spying on me at work. I felt trapped. He even threatened my dog. The police couldn't help because he never got physically violent and was careful with his threats. I lived in constant fear that he would show up again. I changed jobs, my phone number, my address, and my email, but I forgot to block him on one thing, my social media. The I win email came the day after the wedding. In it, Matthew claimed he had become close with Bella after we broke up and boasted about being the architect of my downfall. He confessed to fueling Bella's paranoia about me and Barrett and said they had planned my punishment together. He claimed I deserved to lose everyone important to me. He even suggested we get back together unless I wanted more unfortunate events like this to happen. He's clearly delusional. After reading that, I was devastated for a few days. Thankfully, my mom helped me pull myself together, and now she knows everything about what happened with Matthew. She connected me with a family friend who's an attorney, and they're helping me file for a restraining order against Matthew. I tried during the stalking period but couldn't afford an attorney and was denied. I believe with the email evidence and the attorney's help, I'll finally get the restraining order, even though the hearing isn't for a couple of weeks. It's via Zoom, and I'm terrified of seeing Matthew, even just on a screen. If he's reading this, he should know that I'm not so scared that I won't defend myself if he ever tries to come near me again. Once I sorted out my safety, I realized I had undeniable proof that the wedding incident was a setup. I thought about sharing it everywhere, but I still feel a lot of shame about being in an abusive relationship and couldn't bring myself to do it. So I decided to forward it to Barrett with a brief explanation. Barrett didn't respond, but a couple of nights later, Bella drunkenly drove to my parents' house. While trying to park, she ran over their mailbox. When my parents opened the door, she started yelling about how I'm a homewrecker. In her drunken rant, my parents figured out that Barrett had left her. Her parents were called to take her home. My dad said they looked extremely embarrassed. I know many people might feel satisfied that Bella faced some karma, but I'm not celebrating. Matthew is a monster, and I've experienced firsthand how charming and convincing he can be. Bella, like me, fell for his act. Her happiness has also been shattered by Matthew, and I find it hard to blame her now that I know he was manipulating her. But she made her choices. I'm not foolish enough to reconcile with her either. My top priority is my safety, and anyone connected to Matthew is someone I need to steer clear of. Bella will have to find her own way back. There is a manager position available on my team in another country, which would be a promotion for me. My boss thinks I should apply, and I'm considering it. Even though it would mean more distance from my family, I think being in a new country might help me feel safer, something I'm struggling with in my current city, so that might be my next move. I don't really know how to end this properly. I'm just tired. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. I probably won't sign into this account again.